Hey, it's Navid here, and in this session, I'll give you a complete ChatGPT tutorial and walkthrough, and specifically, you'll learn how to use ChatGPT for creators step by step. So, Jan, what do you say? Why don't we dive right into this tutorial and get started with ChatGPT here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's dive right into the screen share and demonstrate this.
So what we're looking at is the homepage of ChatGPT. And of course, you need to have an account if you want to use this. Now, you have a free option, which is just if you go to sign up, you can continue with Google, Microsoft, or Apple, or create an account with your email address. Or you can have a paid one, and we'll show the paid one right now. So I log in to my existing account via Gmail. And the reason you want to have the paid account is that this gives you GPT-4 with DALL-E, which is image generation. But more importantly, you get web browsing, you get data analysis, you get GPT vision, so it can actually process images that you upload. There's just a whole lot more. And I think a good place to start with this is to actually let's take a step back and say,
Yeah.
what is ChatGPT in the
Yeah.
first place? Why is everybody so excited about this?
I'm excited because it speeds up my workflow. I can do a lot more that I couldn't do before, like the ideation process, the research phase. But there's so much more than that. Like we use it for when I have a YouTube video, I can use a plugin like Vox Script, which we'll get into how to use it later in this session, and then just get a summary or takeaways and a lot more stuff like that. That wasn't possible before AI and ChatGPT came out. It's not even been out that long, and we can do so much already.
Yeah, essentially, this is powered by what's called a large language model.
Mm.
And you can think about this as a quite complex piece of software that tries to predict the next letter and the next word. So it understands what questions you ask it or what tasks you give it, and then it tries to come up with the appropriate answer for that. And in order to predict the next word properly, it needs to understand the meaning. That's the new thing. We had chatbots for quite a while. They never were really good, to be honest. But now with AI and ChatGPT, Claude, and the other tools, now we actually have chatbots that work. And I would say let's start with the custom instructions right now. This is one of
Yeah.
the biggest reasons you should invest in the ChatGPT Plus plan, because you can tell the AI information about yourself. When you're creating content with ChatGPT, using it for brainstorming, asking it for specific information about troubleshooting a problem, we'll all get into that later. You need to give it proper context. And then there's nothing more annoying than typing the same thing into ChatGPT over and over again. And now with the custom instructions, you can tell it where you're based, what you do for work, your hobbies and interests.
Mhm.
And the more information you feed into this field, the more personalized the output will be. And that's what, as a creator, we would all want. Now, I have this not filled out. And before you call me out on this, Navid, I need to, but this is actually on purpose because I'm creating content for different brands and different types of
Yeah.
personas. So I'm too lazy to switch on and off the custom
Yeah.
instructions while I'm switching those brands.
Yeah, and currently your account doesn't have a toggle, so you can go between different custom instructions. I've seen that on some accounts, which is interesting. So they might have not have rolled that out to everyone, right? But if that's coming, you could use it for the different brands. Actually, that should be available, and it would be a lot easier, basically, to do this because you will see a big difference if you start adding your bio and some information about you and your business in there in the output that ChatGPT gives you because. You don't need to every time in the prompt add that information in. That's a big
Yeah.
benefit.
Yeah, and it's the same for the second field right here. How would you like ChatGPT to respond? And if you're part of the Creator School community, you've gotten my custom instructions right here already. This is 1,495 characters worth of telling ChatGPT how I would like the responses to be structured. This is also something you need to be very careful with. Tell it exactly how many sentences should be in a paragraph, for example, what tone of voice you want
Yeah.
to use, how you would write, using metaphors, analogies, emojis, things like that, all go in here.
Yeah. Let's talk about some pros and cons as well. Maybe there's some skeptics why you shouldn't use this, or maybe some things to think about when it comes to using AI-powered tools and large language models like ChatGPT in this case.
Yeah, I feel there are two big cons. Let's start with the negatives first. And one is these things hallucinate. So
Mhm.
they make up facts and they invent data essentially, and they can be quite convinced about themselves when they give you that information. So you need to always double check, test the facts that ChatGPT gives you, test the statistics, do your own research a little bit, and confirm that what GPT gives you is actually correct. The second thing, and this is probably the more tricky one, is about AI ethics and copyright questions, because ChatGPT has been trained, the plus version GPT-4 Turbo has been trained on data up until April 2023 right now, and it just read a whole bunch of text from the internet, and you can't really attribute which part of text went into the answer that you've received. So if I were to ask it, hey, help me write a book in the
Mhm.
style of William Shakespeare,
Yeah.
am I infringing his copyright? Am I infringing his intellectual
Yeah.
property? Or is ChatGPT just taking quote unquote inspiration and then making
Mhm.
something new?
That's why I'm normally not doing that. And it's the same when you using AI image generators like Midjourney. I think there's a whole different thing there, but you don't typically want to say, do an image like Picasso or something like that. I think you want to come up with inspiration like in other ways. You can say on ChatGPT, you can say, act like a copywriter with 10 years of experience or something like that. Or you can say, if you wanted similar questions or style like someone else, you can do it, but just be wary of it. And if it's just, for example, I like blogs that read very easily, like Brian Dean's, for example. That's not necessarily writing like Brian Dean. It's more like he's writing very simple, and I like that way. And then you can tell an AI tool to do it in a similar way, essentially. So I think that that works pretty well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this also leads into the good first example of how to actually use this, which
Mhm.
is the GPT plugins, because you have GPT-4, which comes with custom chatbots. We'll talk about that later on. You have GPT 3.5, which is kind of like the trimmed down version of GPT, and it's the free one. Please don't use it because you will be disappointed if you're trying to
For
follow along.
basic things, it's okay. If you
Yeah.
wanna just get somewhere basic, but when it comes to analyzing things and doing something more complex, don't use it. You will see a big difference. I've tried this, like, because I remember like a few months ago or whatever, Jan was telling me you need to get on the plus plan. I was busy with other things, and then I saw a big difference as soon as I started using the plus plan. Highly recommend it. Unfortunately, they don't have an affiliate program. Otherwise, I would make some sweet commissions on it. But I just genuinely recommend it because it's not the only AI tool we use, but it's one that we come back to for quick things, ideation, research, and a lot of things we're going to show you in this session.
Yeah, 100%. And what the paid plan also gives you is access to plugins. So I would say before they disappear, because GPT is constantly being updated and they have announced that plugins will soon be phased out right now. They are very important though, especially the ones that we are sharing
Mhm.
right here. So what you want to do is in the top left, you have this selector right here that says GPT-4 right now. We'll go to plugins and we go to the plugin store and showcase some that we've highlighted that are
You go to,
really,
yeah, to the
really
installed ones, right? And you can
important
also
for
sort
us.
with popular. I think that's how I started, and I
Yeah,
tried 100 plus of these. So the ones we are showing you now are actually really useful, I would say.
I would start with my all-time favorite plugin, which is VoxScript. Navid, you've shown this to me first. What does VoxScript do?
Basically, you take a YouTube video, a link, and you might have a YouTube video you've uploaded, and then you just take that into ChatGPT, you enable VoxScript, you go and install it in the plugin store, and then you'll get a summary, takeaways, whatever you want. You can take out anything. You do it for taking things to newsletters, you do it for different things, Jan, right? I mean, I might want to summarize a video for a course or for my blog or something like that. That's how I used. Or you can even create Twitter threads or X X threads or LinkedIn posts or anything you'd like from this one long video, or it can be a shorter video as well, doesn't matter. I do it typically with long form content, so then it's like keeps generating for a little bit, but it's so much faster than what I had to do before. I hired people before to do takeaways for my summits and things like that. Now I don't need to do that anymore. This is really, really quick.
And it's free. Yeah, okay, you pay for the $20 a
Yeah.
month for GPT Plus, but the plugin itself is free. It's
They are
insane.
free. I would say there are free ways to do it. They can give you, I can tell YouTubetranscript.com if they have a transcript, they can basically get that from there. That's 100% free. You can use ChatGPT 3.5, right? You could use it, but it's not as good when it comes to takeaways and stuff. Then you can put in the transcript and you can go that route, but why would you? This is so much faster, I would say.
Yeah, so true. And you're independent of whether or not the original creator of the video actually uploaded a transcript and captions and
To
stuff.
some extent, I think YouTube transcript can still pull from the video, but it's not 100% accurate because it's not like a
Mm,
clean transcript always. So you have to be wary of that.
yeah. Now the next one, the next plugin we have in our list is AI PDF. That's really good. What do you like most about it?
Now you can upload PDFs into ChatGPT natively, which is great, and you have a larger context window as well. I think it's like with the turbo, right? It's 128K, which is great, but I think it's not always working the best with the PDFs and stuff like that. I feel the plugins and for sure the custom GPTs, they have also this thing in a custom GPT, the same plugin, and I think that's what's happening now. A lot of these very popular plugins, they are not being phased out exactly, but they're actually just guarding themselves and they are putting themselves as a GPT too. Canva did it, a lot of other ones. So it's just to upload it and it does a better job essentially than the native ChatGPT interface. So that's why I'm using that.
Yeah, what I like to use this for is mostly for market research purposes and fact research for content. When I create B2B related content, it's always important to have facts and quotes and stuff. And I can upload reports from McKinsey and Gartner and all those big consulting groups in there. And instead of having to read through 100 pages myself, I can get the most important
Yeah,
takeaways
so
right there.
useful. Yeah, if you have a big research paper or something like that, that's fantastic. Or like maybe a report in your industry or you want to learn something, that's great. But you can also use it with your own content. Maybe you have lead magnets or books you've written. You can upload that. I think now potentially you could upload like a few hundred pages, right? I mean, they said I think a 300-page book natively in ChatGPT, which is
Yeah.
great. I don't know how much AI PDF. We haven't tried that long of a book, but for sure you can upload a pretty large book into this, and then you can basically get a summary. You can get quotes for social media and whatnot really fast. So I think that's one of the best use cases for me.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Let's go to the next one, which is Keymate. So Keymate is a SEO tool, if I remember
Yeah, it's
correctly.
not just an SEO tool, but you can do things like research, basically searches the web essentially. That's what it's for. So I think it's a really useful plugin. If you wanted to take a link, it's like the web pilot, but it does a little more
Mm.
than that, I would say. So that's what we use this for. And we can maybe try it even in one of the examples.
Yeah, 100%. We can dive into that right now. But I wanted to show something really cool that I stumbled upon lately, which is called Little Professor.
Yeah,
And
I've
Little
seen that.
Professor, it's super cool for people who have like online courses. Maybe you run a cohort or you have coaching programs or group coaching. What you want to do is, of course, you want to validate that people actually learn something as they go through the program, right? And Little Professor helps you create those students tests for you. So this is now one example, as you've said earlier, with summarizing the takeaways and creating action guides from long form content. The
Yeah.
same challenge exists when you have, if I just think about Virtual Summit Mastery, it has like 70 plus videos in there. Try to create tests for
Man,
that.
I just wish AI was available when I created VSM. It would have been a game changer. I spent so much money on this and so much time and effort. At the time, I had like an assistant, and I'm really thankful for Yolanda when she worked for me and helping a lot with that version of VSM. But now, if AI was a was a thing back then, I would have done it so much faster. I wouldn't have needed to do all of that. Maybe I could have still had someone work for me and amplify them with the help of AI. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way to think about this. It's not about replacing humans, it's about amplifying what a human
Yeah.
can do.
basically their skills taken to a whole nother level, and you can
Yeah.
do things a lot faster. I think that's what it's all about. Or if you're a solo creator, you don't need to feel the need to, okay, I need to spend this money right now. You can get started, make some money, leverage these AI tools, get started with ChatGPT, and then you can hire people to actually learn the tools and do even more. Because if your employees and staff and the contractors you hire use AI tools, they're gonna also be able to do more for you and help you in a better way.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I would say to wrap up our plugin selection right there, there's obviously we could go on with
Yeah.
this for 2 hours and still not exhausted. The last one I want to highlight is Canva, and we can probably look at their Canva GPT later in this session.
Yeah, I think we look at the GPT. I think a lot of these are coming to, as I said, they're making GPTs. I think it's like, I would say it's a little bit more interesting to look at the GPTs now, because if they are making it,
Yeah.
it's because it's like the future a little bit with this. I think the plugins, they are still useful. They still work. They're still available. But I think that's might be phased out because it's like doing the same thing. And with GPTs, you will be able to have actions and a lot of more stuff later on that you can do. It will be pretty crazy and wild what's going to happen in the future, I believe.
Yeah, that's for sure. We already see crazy stuff right now, but let's say before we dive into the GPTs,
Yeah.
this is the place where you actually message ChatGPT, and what's going in there is called a prompt. People are quite afraid of this, Navid. What do you think? What's the best take to get started with prompting GPT?
I think a lot of people, they are doing it a little bit in the wrong way, that they are thinking they need this master prompt, this mega prompt, and getting started this way. And yes, there might be a time and place to add a lot of things. I think it's better way to think about it is you are just gonna have a conversation. You are, imagine you're hiring an intern in your business. That person is not going to know everything right off the bat. It's the same thing with ChatGPT or AI powered tools. They don't know everything yet. So you have to give the instructions. You have to go, you can also have a conversation. You can also learn about different topics. Maybe you don't know what to cover, but the more details you give, the better. And then if something is not clear, you go back and forth with ChatGPT. Like it's not always, and actually I would rephrase that. Most of the time, it's not perfect right off the bat. Like it's not. You have to go back and forth a few times, especially when you do email marketing. You might write blog posts and things like that. It's not perfect right away, and you will have to add maybe the extra, I would say 20%. Sometimes if you get it really good, maybe it's 15, 10%, something like that, you add onto it, because it's an AI is an assistant. It's not gonna replace you and do all the creative work. You have to actually be the creator as well. That's kind of how I see it. I know there's people out there on YouTube and other channels, they're like trying to make ChatGPT do everything and it's like completely automated. I don't think that's great content. I don't think it's gonna be the same as if you're adding your thought leadership and your experience to what you're doing. So that's my approach, and I know you have a similar philosophy around this, Jan.
Yeah, 100%. It's not about mastering or replacing yourself 100%. And the analogy with speaking to a human, I think, is on point right here. Because even if you were to hire an expert in copywriting, in email marketing, in, I don't know, business analysis, in consulting, all those things that ChatGPT can do and assist with, you would still have to instruct those people. You would still have to keep them on target, avoid them going off on tangents and things like that. And it's the same thing with AI at this point.
Yeah, let's showcase a little bit some prompt examples,
Yeah.
what you can do with this. So maybe we'll give a specific example. Maybe we'll take something from our guide, which we have as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start with some video analysis
Yeah.
right here. So you can see me going back to ChatGPT plugins, having the Vox script video open. And big shout out to Tiago Forte. I'm actually diving into his para method right now because I need to optimize my workload. And let's say I want to get the gist of how he manages email in 17 minutes a day. What I can do inside ChatGPT is say, summarize this video for me, and then just paste the link to the video, making sure the VoxScript plugin is enabled. Then you could say, extract the 5 most important learnings and give me 5 steps I can take to implement the method shared in the video. So it's really as I would give the instruction to a human researcher as
Yeah.
well. Exact
Yeah,
same
and
thing.
I think it's interesting that in this case, you're actually using this method to learn a skill. Basically, you want to learn the things, the concepts that were discussed in Tiago Forte's video. So you're actually using this for your personal learning. And I've discussed this with a few experts on the AI for Creators Summit as well, that what's going to happen with platforms like Blinkist. I love Blinkist. It's great for audio and things like that. I think it's a great platform for get like books in a summary form. But now you can get the best copywriting books right here in ChatGPT, basically. You can ask, what's the best copywriting books for learning this thing? And then you'll get them, you can get them summarized or the biggest takeaways, what you should focus on. It's basically very similar, right? Maybe you don't get an audio form, but you can get, actually, you can get something pretty similar. Some of these platforms even have AI voices now. I think
Yeah.
Blinkist might be real, I'm not sure. But some platforms are AI voice. What's the difference to get that right from ChatGPT is pretty similar, you know?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And ChatGPT actually comes out with his own voices as well. So it can
Yeah,
actually speak to you on the
right.
mobile app. So it's the same experience. And
It's a few more steps. You need to go in
yeah,
there, you need to ask. I think with time, this will be a lot more convenient. I think that's what I said. Like some of these platforms, they are a little bit in danger if they don't offer something else. Why should someone use ChatGPT over like another tool? I think other tools out there, there's the Jaspers of the world that were start copy.ai, there's Vocable, there's Content at Scale. These platforms need to have a specific use case, like maybe they can organize things better. Search, which ChatGPT doesn't have. I hope that's coming. That's a big negative, I would say, with
yeah,
ChatGPT right now. But they have workflows like Vocable. They have like really good use case for blogging, which ChatGPT can do. But is it the best for it? No, it's not the best for it. So I think that's kind of the tools that might. That's how you have to see it. Like ChatGPT is more of a generalist where you can do everything. You have to go a few more steps to do each thing. And that's how I see with other tools. They have to build something more substantial in order to stand out.
yeah, absolutely. And while we were talking, this video summary came in,
Yeah.
which is structured in a way that is very easy to digest, which is due to the custom instructions I have set. But it gives you the summary of what is actually being talked about, the 5 key learnings, and 5 steps to implement this. So I have to audit my inbox, make sure that I actually have a calendar, task manager, digital notes, and adopt a new workflow of actively managing my email in a different
It's gonna
way.
take you so long time if you had to go through the entire video. Like
Yeah.
even if you watch the video, which is about, I think it was close to 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, 18
Uh,
minutes.
18 minutes. That would you have to watch it for 18 minutes. Then you have to think, okay, how do I actually summarize this? That's like brain
Yeah.
power from you, and you have to think, okay, which is not bad. I think you should, use your creative skills for certain things, but you can use it for other things, maybe things that move the needle in your business. To summarize this video is probably not gonna be the best use of your time, especially like in my case. I enjoy doing videos like this, for example. I enjoy creating content, but like adding the descriptions on YouTube, I don't enjoy that. Maybe ChatGPT can help with this, or I want to have the tags for YouTube. I can, ChatGPT can also help with things like that, like the mundane tasks around it. I think AI is really, really good for it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also coming down to knowing what you want to get out of this. So this was an example of learning and just saving time, frankly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something that where we actually create. So we'll give it my website is jankoch.co, which is my personal newsletter. And let's say I don't know what type of content to create. I'm literally staring at a white screen right now. No idea what I should
And
write
how
my
was it before,
newsletter
Jan?
about.
Maybe you can
It
tell us
was
before
exactly like
AI.
that. And I was hitting my forehead on the desk
Yeah.
in frustration. And I had set aside, I still remember
Mhm.
this. I set aside 2 hours every Monday morning
Yeah.
to think about what I would write. And then the first hour was gone by trying to get into flow,
Mhm.
sipping on coffee, getting inspiration.
Right.
And I was like, by the end of the first hour, I was super frustrated.
Yeah,
Makes me
yeah.
want to pull my hair
That's
out
how it
right
was
now.
when we got started, and many, many years into our journey as well. It was difficult. Like you had to,
Yeah,
come up with everything. Now you can do things a lot faster. And as you saw with the previous example, you can summarize a YouTube video. This actually could be used for your newsletter. Maybe you can share something you learned from that video. I remember when I had a newsletter. I was always adding resources and things. I was pretty early with this, but I had to like every week go into doing everything manually. I wanted to have a quote from a book and things. Now I can do that like really quickly.
yeah.
So I'm like excited about this to scale up different aspects of the business with the help of AI, but still doing the things I enjoy.
Yeah, and we'll do a little bit more tricky stuff right now. So let's make this a little bit more exciting. We'll ask ChatGPT to extract the target audience as described on the website, because if your website doesn't tell the visitor who your newsletter is for or who you're creating content for, then you're missing the point entirely in the first place. And to talk about that and describe it back to me, because what this will do is this line ensures ChatGPT understands our audience correctly. This is the most important thing when you're creating content. Understand the audience, understand your offer, understand you. Suggest 10 topics that are relevant to my audience that I can write a newsletter about. Again, not a super mega complex prompt, but what this will do is it takes away the need to get into flow, and it turns on creativity at will right now.
Yeah, I think that's one important thing. Creativity at will. You don't stare at a blank page. You don't get the writer's block. You can actually go in here anytime to get everything you need basically, and then you pick things back up again. That's how I use it daily.
Yeah. You can see I've gotten the 10 topics in here, and there's no point in writing the entire newsletter in this example. That will go too deep. Just rest assured, you can write the newsletter in your tone of voice with ChatGPT. If you spend a little bit of time and tweak this a little bit and go a little bit back and forth, maybe use the soap opera GPT that we have
Let's
for
showcase this
our
a little
creator
bit, yeah.
community.
Why don't we showcase this as well? I think that's really, really interesting.
Let's do this. So we go into the menu right here, open sidebar. By the way, these are the chats that I have, and this is the reason why Navid was saying earlier, it desperately needs a
Yeah.
search function. You can't find anything in here if you
And as
use
I
it
said, that's
heavily.
why other tools are also thriving. I think ChatGPT, yeah, they're gonna keep adding features, and we always think, the custom GPTs, they're gonna kill all the other tools. I mean, there's everything that like that. They just kill everything. No, that's not gonna happen, especially if tools are innovating. I think tools that have just been designed in a weekend, like just put together on top of the OpenAI's API, yeah, they might struggle at some point, for sure. I mean, they don't have maybe a clear use case, and there's a lot of other tools doing the same thing. I think they might struggle, but real platforms, I think they're gonna thrive. Like
Yeah.
platforms like real SaaS, they have actually put some thought into it. They have a real model. They have developed their own training models and things like that behind the scenes. I think they are going to do well because that's unique. And I think that's what we are looking for, especially if you're doing blogging and specific things. That's what you want. You want to have the best quality content out there.
Yeah. And GPTs can certainly help with this. So we've built this soap opera GPT, which writes highly converting soap opera email sequences, even if you're not a
Yeah,
copywriter.
this is popularized by Russell Brunson, and I think he took it from Andrew Chaperon, and there's many people who are using it. I think it's a really good way to welcome your subscribers onto your list, and that's how we typically use it. And yeah,
Yeah.
why don't we showcase this here quickly, how it can work?
So what we'll do is we'll ask it to help me write a welcome sequence for my newsletter. Soap opera commonly used to introduce yourself and get new subscribers familiar with your offerings and inspire them to take action. And this is the background about my newsletter and audience. So we just copy and paste what ChatGPT came up with in the audience description. And we've built this in a way that the AI now guides us through the process. So this is coming back again to this iterative nature of talking to AI and going back and forth. You can't really expect AI at this point to deliver like a 5 email sequence like this with a snap of a finger. You have to go back and forth with stuff. And this is also important because it helps you ensure that the AI stays on topic. It
Mhm.
keeps your tone of voice, and you are still in full control over what's happening
Yeah.
there.
So you see here the subject lines, which is really interesting. ChatGPT does a great job with emojis and stuff, and that's a way to stand out in the inbox. I think I always tend to, most of the time at least, I tend to use emojis these days. I try to do that in my emails from time to time, not overdo it, but I think it's a nice way to do, especially if it's matching or it's something that works pretty well. And it does a great job, and you save time. It's like it's a waste of time to do this on your own, try to come up with these things. Well, AI does it for you. This is things you can automate. Basically, this is how you certain things you can replace yourself. This is like like a mundane task, as I call it, and this is not your creative output. That's not what you should spend the time on. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how I see it.
Yeah. And now what we see right here is it goes through the different emails in this sequence, gives us subject lines so that we get an idea of what this email would be about, and then shares a description about the email. And then throughout this process, if it's finished with the emails, then what we can do is we can provide feedback and say, okay, email 1 should be about this, email 2 should be about this. And this would take so much
Yeah.
time.
No, I remember this. I wrote this for Virtual Summit Mastery. We had like an email sequence, and man, I hired a copywriter. I spent a lot of money as well on this. Now,
Yeah.
you can basically get this. I think we included this in the AI list building booster course
Yeah.
in the AI super bundle, so you can get access to this there. But yeah, we wanted to, you can also do this yourself, basically just doing this with ChatGPT, but you have to kind of know what you're doing a little bit. And of course, there's a lot of information available about the soap opera sequence, and that's kind of how we built this or designed it at least.
Yeah, and essentially, this GPT is about saving time. It's about
Yeah,
shortening that learning curve to getting to results that you can actually use. And one
yeah,
thing that you will see quite often when you ask an AI to generate a lot of content is this continue generating button, because they just have a limited amount of, let's call it, memory, and sometimes they just need a little nudge to continue with the output.
yeah. I think yeah. After this, we have some more. We have some more examples, so stay tuned for this. Even more. I just came up with some great stuff we can showcase it as see in our notes. We're definitely gonna get into some more. But yeah, this is working really well. I think this is we built this for ourselves initially because Jan was like, let's let's use this for my own site now. I mean, I might as well use it as well for Creator School now. So this is we usually build GPTs that we want to use ourselves, and then we let others use it either for free or we have it in our programs basically.
Yeah, it's a great way to make your life a lot easier. That's what AI is about to me. It's not about replacing humans. I still would hire people if I need to have like real expertise. But if
Yeah.
it's just about shaving off a few minutes of a process
Mhm.
that I can easily do myself and I enjoy doing,
Yeah.
that's where AI comes into play.
Why don't you go into the actually showcase the GPTs, how to maybe create one really quickly, like where
Yeah,
because you had your LinkedIn one, maybe you can showcase that you did for your personal
yeah.
use case.
This is really interesting. I have exported, let's see, go to edit GPT. So this is private. I'm not sharing this with anyone. This is what the backend looks like. So you have the name, you have a description, you have instructions. This is where actually, and I'm happy to share this because the value is not in selling anything. So feel free to go ahead, copy this, pause the video, make this your own. The instructions are telling the GPT what is expected from it, what type of output it should create, what type of input it should deal with and work with, and what the user will use it for in the end.
Yeah.
And then this is a lot of content in here.
I
And
think
I,
a clear use case for any creator, any solopreneur is to create a GPT for their audience and use it as lead gen on social
yeah,
media or via your email list or something like that. We have also ones that we have created that's free. We might link up some in the description later. But that then you can basically get people onto your email list. I saw Molly Mahoney doing this with a GPT she created for her audience, and she got a lot of comments, basically like doing a link bait on Facebook and telling her audience, asking if they are interested, essentially. Of course, a lot of people are interested because it's pretty hot topic and it saves time for her audience. And they basically all comment. I think she got a few hundred comments. So I
Yeah.
assume a few hundred leads from one Facebook post. Pretty interesting. So definitely dive into this world. When something new comes out, I think it's an interesting thing that you can explore, because then, the ebooks and stuff, it's fine. Checklist, all this is fine, right? It's working as a lead magnet. But if you have something more useful, because this is kind of a tool, you're developing a tool, but you're not the developer. You just go in and using, in this case, ChatGPT, and you are, creating this without any experience in code or knowledge. You just need to add some questions and some instructions, and then it acts based on that, which is really cool.
And to be honest, it is quite easy to get those instructions right, because
Yeah.
as you are working here on the left and you're changing up the instructions and you're tweaking, on the right-hand side, you have the preview function where you can actually talk to the GPT and see how the output and the behavior evolve and what impact the change you make in the instructions. And for this custom GPT, the magic comes here from the knowledge, where I've uploaded a spreadsheet with my own LinkedIn direct messages. So it knows the tone of voice on how I speak, it knows how I would write, and it can use that to inform how it outputs content. And you can see right here, I have integrated Zapier. This is also pretty cool because you can connect third-party tools, and I mean, just Zapier connects it to thousands of
Yeah.
platforms that I
We
could
we
use this
cover we
for.
also cover this quite in depth in the AI Super Bundle. We have some tutorials on this, like with the AI automation. We have even a full walkthrough of AI automation mastery, where we go into a lot of cool use cases for how to automate different processes in your business with AI, Zapier, and I mean, there's other tools we are using now with Make, and there's
Yeah.
Paddle as well. You can do certain things, but yeah, it's pretty mind blowing when you think about it.
I've built a pretty cool automation where you send an idea for a LinkedIn post to
Yeah.
Telegram, and you receive the full post back.
Yeah.
This is
It's
so cool.
exciting. Let's talk about maybe the GPT store if you wanted to find some cool GPTs. If we show some popular ones, this is like from another website. I might also build my own database
Yeah.
for creators, but this is like a
The-
full kind of database for it. I would say Keymate, they have a good one. The AI PDF, they have one. Canva has a
yeah.
good one. There's a few other ones for language learning and things like that. I think it's really useful. There's ones that you can build like a link in bio page. There's a few that are pretty good that you can consider for
Yeah,
this.
I would actually love to see your GPT store, Navid, because it's one thing to go on the hunt and search for GPTs yourself. It's a whole different ballgame if you know that the GPT you're trying has been vetted by a true
That is the
expert.
problem with the other sites. They're just putting anything and everything up there.
Yeah,
And I think that's not useful. I think what I wanted to do is actually things that I've tested, I'm actually using. Like we mentioned with the plugins, we don't use too many plugins, but the ones we showed in this video, they're actually useful. So I would recommend them. It's the same with the different GPTs. There are so many coming out very quickly, and I think there are some more useful than others. One of the first ones I stumbled across was Nomad GPT, very relevant to me, right? If I wanted to ask questions about any city I plan to go to or anything like that, it's by Peter Levels. He's pretty genius when it comes to a lot of AI stuff and developing and working in public essentially with all his projects, which is
yeah. Peter is a genius, I feel.
yeah, no,
Th-
he's pretty smart. But
This
yeah,
is the
let's
Canva GPT right now. And this is pretty cool. So it gives you pointers to start, and this is I think a good showcase before we switch to the next topic
yep.
about how GPTs can integrate with third-party tools, because that's the
Mhm.
world we are heading into.
Yep.
And if I say make an Instagram post about a breathtaking sunset, it will actually go into Canva, research the appropriate templates for this, and then you can open the Canva app or the web app with a template straight from OpenAI. This is pretty
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, do I use this? I mean, sometimes I play around with it, but I prefer to have my own templates more on my brand, at least at this stage. I think I would prefer rather going to, let's say, a tool like Midjourney or something to generate if I wanted to use AI for it. But yeah, they can find a template here and it can do it faster. Maybe you're looking for something specific in Canva instead of looking through their, I don't know how many they have, but they have a ton of stuff. You're using this and it's basically researching in their database essentially for something that might be of interest to you.
Yeah, that's a good point about brand consistency. One thing I would say to this is if you are an early stage creator, you don't have those corporate identity guidelines and brand guidelines set yet, create a color scheme and upload your logo into Canva. You can do this as a brand set. And then whatever template this GPT gives you and recommends, you just click on the colors for the brand set that you've specified and it updates the colors to match your brand.
Yeah, I think ChatGPT in general, if you wanted instructions based on something you have done, or let's say you found like a carousel on social media that you like, then you can tell ChatGPT to break this down for you. That's how we use it a lot for newsletters. We use this for websites. We're going to show you another example here soon about what you can do, like let's say on your blog and things like that. There's tons of things which ChatGPT is useful for, not just for the content creation part, but actually giving you feedback on structure, format, and things like that. Can even like make the entire format for your newsletter or for a blog post based on a few things you would give it. Maybe you have seen a popular post by your favorite creator. You like it. Of course, you're not going to copy that post, but instead you're going to ChatGPT and say, break this down. Why was this successful? And then you can reverse engineer it and make it your own.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about improving content you already have. Do you have an example of a blog post or something like that that we can pull up
Yeah,
right
I
here?
mean, maybe you can grab the famous one we use.
The
Maybe
lifestyle
the
business.
lifestyle business or digital nomad. They are like due for an update a little bit. Maybe I should add some more examples or update some links in those. But yeah, let's do it.
So here's a insanely extensive
But
post.
it's
Just
still it's
look at
still really good. Actually, it's really a good post. I think it's still really relevant. I'm very big on the evergreen part, and even in the age of AI, I don't like to update a ton. Like this one, I feel still works. Maybe how would I update this? Maybe I would add a little bit more about the current state of business, like how AI is affecting everything. Maybe I will add some things about this in this post. Of course, that could make it even better very quickly.
Let's ask ChatGPT about this. So we're going to ChatGPT 4. Please read through my post. Analyze the target audience and identify parts of the post that are not relevant anymore. It's also a very important thing.
That would be interesting what it says, what's not relevant. That's also sometimes subjective, so you have to keep that in mind. Like maybe it's not gonna do a great job at this point, but let's see.
I think when it comes to updating or repurposing content, what's most important is that you use this as a conversation starter almost.
Mhm.
You want to get the creativity flowing. You want to see, okay, I could do this, I could do that, I could do the other thing too, and just get started in the process. It's not about having this one sentence prompt give you a 10-step process to make this post the best post on lifestyle business
Yeah,
ever.
let's see.
Will be interesting to see what you think about the target audience analysis.
Yeah, basically, I mean, it's pretty spot on, right? Could be for creators, aspiring entrepreneurs, aspiring creators, solopreneurs. That's who it's written for. Like, basically, I would put myself in their shoes. That's kind of how I wrote this post, right? I was in this point at one point in my journey. Now I'm here and I want to inspire you to go through a similar path as I did. That's the post intention a little bit.
So this is pretty cool. It says updated strategies and tools. You might want to go through
And
the
this is
social
accurate,
media marketing
100% accurate.
tools.
This I would say 100%. Like I mentioned probably some tools in this post and maybe my tool set has changed. Of course, I'm using some different tools now. I'm more effective with all the AI tools that have come out. I don't use like a ton, like there's list of a lot of them. We even have our own own list, but actually I have vetted a lot of these tools. I've tested a lot of them. I probably tested 100 plus tools, but like in my day to day, I'm not using a ton. That's
Yeah.
kind of worth mentioning. But yeah, this is accurate, 100%.
This is a really important update, I feel. How the pandemic
Interesting.
has changed the landscape of online
I
businesses,
might
remote
have
work and
updated this a
stuff.
little bit. I don't think maybe certain things I would like tweak, but I have to read through it. But that's still a good point. They're making a statement like that.
Yeah, this is interesting. Legal and taxation updates. That's something where you could potentially do a collab with a tax expert instead of having to dive into the topic yourself.
Because I'm talking about lifestyle business and things which is more global. Maybe that's why it's making this reference. But yeah, I probably didn't cover it in my initial post. But yeah, if I wrote about maybe in the digital nomad one, that maybe it's more relevant actually. In the
Might
lifestyle
be,
business,
yeah.
I could cover it in both, but just having some kind of updates because some nomads they are just traveling and they're maybe living in a gray zone. They're not like resident anywhere. So maybe giving
Yeah.
them some tax advice or where to establish their company would be a great add-on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the point that it is trying to make here as well. It says
Mhm.
overall your post is comprehensive, but needs to be updated with current trends, technologies, and
Yeah,
strategies to
yeah.
enhance its relevance. This is really cool. And actually, let's do something else. Let's repurpose this
Mhm.
into a LinkedIn post.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And I think what we can do, which leads me to something I shared before, like taking a structure from something that works. Maybe we can do it both ways. Like start by just doing it out of the gate, like just as is, like create some LinkedIn post or even X post or something like that.
Hmm.
And then we can take a post by a popular creator who has great content on LinkedIn or whatever platform you choose, and then break it down and then
Yeah.
write this in with our content, basically plug in our content into it.
I have a good structure that we can showcase in a second, but
Yeah.
let's say, help me write a LinkedIn post summarizing the action steps people can take to start their lifestyle business, and then just for the sake of it, keep sentences below 15 words and add line breaks. After each sentence, use the tone of voice that is used in the blog post. That's also a good thing if you already have content, upload it into ChatGPT and create your style guide from the existing content.
Yeah.
Now, this is very short and concise, but I would say this is a good idea to get 80% to the point
Is it
because
getting
nobody
is
really,
it my steps I featured in the yeah, that's
yeah,
probably my steps, right? I featured in the
yeah,
guide. I can't believe I didn't do more of this before. I mean, I had so much content, right? So I could have actually taken a lot of this to post everywhere because I feel that's also why I got motivated to come back with a lot of these things. That's because I see a lot of content. I feel it's not that great all the time, and they are growing very quickly on the platforms. But and then I'm sitting there with a gold mine of content that
yeah.
I should just share more because not a lot of people are talking about some of this stuff.
You need the AI content amplifier for yourself and just run through the
Yeah,
existing
right.
content you already
Yeah,
have.
that's a sneaky plug for our system.
It's true.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I recommend anyone check it out, of course. But I'm
So
using it myself. It's like the best thing ever.
so this is a post from a very simple prompt, but it is already good. Like it's 80% there, and you will probably like you don't need to tweak the emojis, but not everybody has to host a virtual summit, but you would phrase it as consider
Yeah.
hosting a virtual summit.
Probably,
Something
yeah.
like that.
Also, I would probably add some more context to every step, depending on
Yeah,
the platform. If it's on LinkedIn, I would probably do that. If this was on X or formerly Twitter, I would basically have this as a thread. So I have each step as one basically. Maybe you can ask it to do that, but I would
yeah.
still add some more context, like a little bit more to each step. I think it's just one line now. But other than that, it did it pretty well and even gave you the emojis here to make it more enticing.
Each step should be its own tweet and about. So it's 280 characters. So let's say 240 characters long.
Yeah. And you know something else this could be? This could be an email series too.
Yeah, could be a LinkedIn carousel as well.
Yeah, a linked man. I'm getting ideas now. I'm gonna create this as a link. Maybe my story, because this is a compelling title. Because of course, this was quite some years ago when I got started. Because that's kind of how I grew my business. This is exactly the way how I grew my business, and that's exactly what I'm doing also now to grow Creator School. It's the same
Yeah.
methods, but I have a lot more experience now. I have like 10 years in marketing and entrepreneurship and building businesses, doing courses and things. And Jan has a similar journey because we
Yeah.
started
We're
around the
we're
same.
on a similar path right now, actually.
Exactly. We started around the same time as well with the first, online programs we took.
Yeah, in January, it's more than a decade. It's
Yep.
really interesting.
Yeah.
So this is the Twitter thread right here, and it even gives you the numbers as emojis, which I kind of like because it's
Mhm.
how you would usually do the Twitter threads from how I
And
see them.
and then I guess you do the plug. I would probably lead that into some kind of lead magnet. Like it could be a newsletter, like Justin Welsh is always plugging his newsletter at the end. That's kind of his call to action. But maybe I could have created a GPT if I wanted really high conversion, or like I had like a starter kit, like similar to what we're doing for the AI for Creators Summit. We have this AI starter kit for creators, which you might have ended up here in some way, if, depending on
Yeah.
when you're watching this.
If
Uh,
not, go
yeah,
over to
yeah, go
creatorschool.ai
and
and
check
get
it
it.
out. Go and check it out. It's amazing. Like we spent
It's
quite a bit of
free and
time
it's
on.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so now we have the final tweet at the end with a plug to your newsletter so
Mm.
that they get access to a lifestyle business GPT that I heard you're about to build. Maybe not, maybe
Maybe you're
you
putting
will.
me on the
We'll
spot,
see.
like with these things. Maybe I need some free time to build it up.
It's worth doing more research about this. So don't build a GPT just from an idea. Do the research, but it might actually
You need to have the
be worth it.
knowledge and know what to plug into it. Otherwise, especially
Right,
if you're gonna give it to other people, if it's for yourself, play around. But if you are going to hand it to someone else to use it, be sure you test it for different scenarios so it's actually working, because you don't know exactly what they're gonna ask, right?
right.
So why it's important. So they follow like this process, but it's
Yeah.
not that difficult to create. But yeah, just I might as well create it for some of these things later. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so this
Yeah,
was playing around with your LinkedIn post
yeah,
without a proper structure. Let's run this post
yeah,
with a proper structure. This is actually from the AI content amplifier, one example right here.
yeah,
So what we'll do is from the original blog post, this is a little bit of teaser. We are going to create a full-blown story that I can post on LinkedIn with a given structure and a given style guide. So let's see what this comes up with right now. By the way, the hashtag is marked down. This shows GPT that this is a headline. So it actually helps the AI understand what you wanted to do better.
yeah. Let's see what it comes. It's also a little, at the time we are doing this recording, it's been a little bit slow. So that's the turbo is not really a turbo, but let's see.
Yeah, it's they are. I think they are fighting with their own growth. To be honest, they've been
Yeah, yeah,
swamped.
with
They've
all the
even
things that's going
paused
on,
new signups to Plus.
for sure. Yeah, let's take this example. After we're gonna show you a few things regarding prompting and some resources for this, and that's basically it. So you can hopefully if this has been valuable, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this, and check some resources as well in the description depending on when you're watching this. We also have the AI super bundle. We have the AI content amplifier, which is my new favorite thing in the world, to be honest. Like it's so good. So definitely check this out.
Yeah, so here you can see the post come to fruition now. You can already see that this is structured in quite a different way. It's a bit painful to see AI struggle writing.
Yeah, yeah, it
But you
is.
can see that it's breaking up into the sections. And of course, when you're posting to LinkedIn, you would remove like pain, attention, colon, agitate, colon. But it still gives you the proper emojis.
Yeah, I think this is the slowest I've seen it write in a long time.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting when we are doing this kind of live here. Like this is we are recording it, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
it is. I'm actually kind of glad that this happens because you're not breaking AI. AI is probably breaking itself
Okay,
from
now
time to
what the
time.
hell? Look at this. How fast? Like really slow and then it's super fast.
Yeah, if you see this happen when you're using ChatGPT, rest assured that this is normal because this is a extremely fast-growing
And you can
platform.
also, something interesting, which I think a lot of people don't talk about. If you don't liking something, you can also regenerate, or you can also stop the thing and start over.
Yeah, so
And you don't need to
here's the
wait for.
regenerate button.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to wait for the entire thing. Also, now you can stop it, I think, as well when it's doing this.
Yeah, the stop button is right here.
Yeah,
And you can see the structure is way different now because
yeah,
it knows when you're regenerating, it knows you weren't happy with the first structure, so it
bro.
switches things up.
I mean that's like a great way, but I mean if you knew what you're looking for, you can also give it some feedback yourself. I think that's
Yeah,
usually what we do,
yeah,
because otherwise you have no idea what ChatGPT will come up with,
yeah.
uh,
But
which is cool.
let's dive into prompting a little bit to wrap
Yeah,
this up, I would say.
I think that's important. So how do you learn prompting? I think we have showcased how to do it in the most simple and easy to get started way possible, because if you can go down the rabbit hole with so many different prompts out there, like prompt packs with 10,000 plus prompts. Yeah, it's great, but I think you don't need it. Like a lot of platforms also, they are moving to a more promptless AI. Of course, you need to understand the basics behind it. So maybe you can get into that a little bit. But essentially, it's what you are giving the AI, the words
Yeah,
you're writing here. That's kind of what it is, how you're
yeah.
communicating.
I usually have the same structure for most prompts. It starts, and this is actually in the custom instructions that I had, so I didn't have to repeat it over again.
Right.
But the first thing is you have the mission. What is it that you are using GPT for? What's the goal of the conversation that you are starting
Mhm.
right now? And this is just plain text, like your job is to help me create excellent content for my audience. My audience is ABC. This is where your audience definition would go. Then you can give it some context as to what role it should take. So maybe let's do context dash role for clarity purposes. You are in my custom instructions, I tell it you are a nonfiction writing aid. You could also say what you've said earlier in the beginning. You are a seasoned email marketer with a decade of
If
experience,
you are doing a newsletter, I would probably put something like that.
yeah, in selling via email and building relationships with subscribers. So what you want to do with this context and role is you want to activate latent space. So what this is GPT has a broad knowledge base, but it only picks from very selected areas, and it uses like 1% of the
Yeah.
content it knows. And with this context and role thing, you can activate the right knowledge areas, if you will, in the brain.
I mean, there's so much you can do also with ChatGPT. You can outline your courses. You can do so many more things that we use, like for podcast interviews. I don't know if there's any more use cases how you would use this yourself in your business. And I think that's also in our guide. We put like a lot of use cases for it. Even some unique ones.
Yeah, yeah, we have, I think, just in the AI starter kit, it's about 40 or 50 different
Yeah.
prompts explained. So we are not believers in shoving 10,000 prompts into your face because they don't teach you anything. We want you to understand the basics of creating good prompts yourself so that you can actually master the tool. It's like teaching you how to fish instead of giving you fish that you could eat.
Yeah, it's also the same. Like, would you get to write your emails or write your sales pages? Yes, you can do it with templates and stuff like that. And we give our students, in many cases, fill in the blank templates for a lot of the courses we have offered in the past. But I think learning copywriting, learning how to write emails is a really important skill. I think that's why I'm a believer of, like, just because you have AI, that's not gonna make you the best copywriter in the world, because you might not know what is great copy in the first place, so you cannot identify it. So that's why what I would start with really is to learn about different skills. Like if you don't have a skill in copywriting, and that's an important skill for your business, which is in most cases, right? If you're doing anything online, then learn about it. Read the top 10 books on the topic, and you're gonna be better off than most people. Don't leave that to ChatGPT. Like you can learn about it and get the top books from ChatGPT, and then you go out there, read it, study it, and then you're gonna understand when you're leveraging AI as an assistant to actually do that, I think.
Yeah, perfect description. So I've added two more points right here. One is about my offer. This goes back to this conversation about giving as much context as you possibly can. And then the last step we usually have is the desired outcome. You want the AI to know what you are looking for. And this requires you to have an idea what you're looking for in the first place.
Yeah.
And that helps ChatGPT stay on topic and stay on track with its creation. And one thing we like to do is, as you've seen by now, tell ChatGPT to ask for feedback throughout creating the content. This has to be a back and forth. Otherwise, you won't end up with something that's actually usable.
Yeah, I hate when I have someone working in my business. I've had different VAs and contractors in the past, employees, and they don't ask for anything. They just expect, okay, this is fine. I created, it's like a one-way street. They just get going out there, taking my instructions, and then they do the work and say, okay, here it is. But they're not asking for anything. Like, that's not good either. So I think that's the same with AI. Like, as you said earlier, treat it as a human. I think that
Yeah.
goes to, and also we actually being nice and polite with it. We say please. We also say take a deep breath sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have it? Is it proven that this tends to work? I don't know, but
Yeah, it is. It is.
yeah, I mean,
It's
it is.
actually shown in research that if you treat AI with respect
Yeah,
and tell it this is important to my work,
yeah.
the quality of the output improves.
This I do all the time. This is really important that you hit home on this point. Let's come on now. Let's do this. I mean, it's working. I mean,
It
it
is.
would be the same if you're in encouraging someone that's working for your business. Well, you're gonna probably see that person performing better as well. It's the same with AI. Although
Same
we don't know
principle.
exactly all the details behind the scenes of why, but it makes
Yeah.
sense.
One quick way to shortcut that learning curve is a platform like Prompt Base. There are others like Prompt
Mhm.
Pal and
Yeah,
AI PRM as well. So you can go to the marketplace,
yeah,
search for, in this case, GPT prompts.
yeah.
And here you see, let me try to zoom in to make
There's a
this
lot of them.
readable.
I think a lot of times I've used this for Midjourney and things like that if I
Mm,
wanted something really specific. But for ChatGPT, I don't always use it because I tend to just use what we have shared, and that is enough to get what I need. Like going that back
yeah,
and forth process, I don't need this mega prompt. I know what I need. Maybe it's because I know copywriting, I know email marketing. Maybe that's why I'm better at communicating with the AI, maybe than the average person just starting out and want to use AI just as a shortcut to not learning any skills. That's not what AI is for. It's not like to replace the necessary skills in your business. That's not what it
right,
is. It's gonna
right.
amplify you, as we have said here. So I think, yeah, for writing, this we have used it a lot for to write, but I don't necessarily think it would be. I would never buy this because I know how to pitch people, but
True. Yeah, but if you don't, I like using this. I've used this more for Midjourney as well, but
okay,
if I were not as experienced in prompt engineering, I would probably buy a few. I would
try
probably
it
buy
out.
the highlights one, try it out and try to understand why they work. Like
Yeah,
break it down into the concepts and into the different parts of the prompt and really understand why this works. It's like working
yeah,
through a great sales page. If you
right.
know you looking at a sales page from Russell Brunson or Tony Robbins or whoever, you can usually assume that they convert
Yeah,
extremely well because they've just got
yeah.
the money and the
And
top team to build
and
them.
this is pretty cheap as well to just try a few prompts. It's not that
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah,
But yeah,
that's why I like it.
that's a good one. There's a few other resources. There's Prompt Pal. There's AI PRM, I think it's called. It's like an
Yeah,
extension for Chrome as well. But this one is a new one I found, which is similar. You can find some great prompts and things like that on there, and they
yeah.
have guides and all this kind of stuff on there as well.
So let's go. AIPRM.com is also interesting.
Yeah,
And you can see that there is a ton of content out there, and that is super easy to get lost because everybody claims to have the best and the newest and the easiest to use and stuff. What it boils down to, though, is understanding what a good prompt looks
yeah.
like.
And yeah, that's like how you communicate with AI, I would say, and that what we have shared. But I think one thing before we wrap up the session is to show DALI 3 AI image generation. I think that's
Yeah.
really cool as well. I think with the prompting, we have, I think if you just get started, use the strategies we have shared, explore some of the other ones to get into it, but don't get lost into these prompt packs and things like that. Because a lot of the experts I've talked to, anyway, what's in the future is more with the AI agents and things like that, and actually implementing, doing actions for us. I think that's already coming with the GPTs a little bit. With now you can connect that to Zapier. Maybe you're making a restaurant reservation and it instantly books it for you, like kind of things like that, even booking the travel for you. I think that stuff is exciting, and that's why I think maybe in the future, like the prompting as we know it is not going to be as big of a thing. But as of right now, it's good to learn the basics of it, but don't get lost in the sea of prompt
Yeah.
packs and things like that people might sell you.
Yeah. So let's try to create a LinkedIn promo graphic. Please create a graphic to share on LinkedIn for a post about effective email management using AI, coming back to the example we have earlier. And we'll just go with a very basic prompt like here. This is all we'll tell it. And we make sure for this we have to have a GPT-4 with DALI.
Yeah, and I think I like it for quick things because it's easily accessible. It's also in the Bing browser, so you can access it
Mm.
there by
And it's even
Microsoft.
free in Bing browser. You
Yeah,
don't
it's
even
free.
have to be a
Yeah,
paid account.
it's free, which is nice. So I think that's why DALI is really accessible. That's why it's so easy to use it. Like Midjourney is, you have to pay for it, but and there's some other ones as well. I mean, Canva has AI image generation as well. I would say the top one for me is Midjourney, especially if you want really photorealistic stuff. But if you're just getting started, dabble with DALI 3 and you can go really far with that as you're getting started. But then know there's other tools. If you want like your face to look like perfect and things like that, I would say Midjourney is the best option. Like
Yeah.
it's a huge difference for that stuff. When you're doing things like that, it's not actually, maybe DALI 3 is doing better also with text and things like that actually on an image at the time we are doing this one, which is
Yeah.
interesting too.
Mostly is. And now the process usually is either I like the image and I can just download it, or what you can do is you give it feedback. So I've said right here, please try again, show an office worker who's relaxed in his office chair. Don't show text on the image. And
Yeah.
now it creates a different image. And this is really
Like the
going back and
format as
forth.
well. Let's say it's for a blog, you want to have a different format than if it's for
Yeah,
Instagram, for example. But now it's for LinkedIn, right? So you would have it,
it's
I
one
don't
to
know,
one.
yeah, 1-to-1 for this one.
This has been a very comprehensive overview
I
about
would say this is a
ChatGPT.
great overview for you, and definitely complement this with the guide we have. But let's see what it does here. If you can generate the image, or if chat, if yeah, okay, there we go.
There we go. And now you would obviously tweak this. Like, this is exactly the mood that I was looking for, to be honest. I will probably ask it to have a
Yeah,
different haircut and
yeah,
maybe look a bit different, but otherwise, this is
yeah.
exactly what I had in mind.
No, I love it. Okay, this has been a great session, Jan. Really enjoyed this one and sharing everything about ChatGPT and how this can be used for a creator and solopreneur. Do you have any final words as we wrap up the session?
I would say get your hands on the ChatGPT Plus plan and just get started. The most important thing is to play around with this. Come up with a use case where you create content regularly and try to add GPT to that process alone. And as you refine the process, you learn how to use the platform. And of course, if you want to shortcut the learning curve, the free AI starter kit we've put together
Yeah.
will help you do just that.
Yeah, 100%. The starter kit is amazing. I will link up some resources below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy videos like this. Like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now. Peace.